Excuse me, make room for a smaller one. Ah, folks, so glad you could make it. It is, right now, Sunday morning. The sun is shining. It's going to be a glorious day. It's going to be sparkling. Oh yeah, man, it's going to be a sparkling day. And I come down for breakfast and found that the cupboards are bare. And I find that quite ironic in that Mrs. Kilt-Man supplies all the rations. I don't hear anyone saying there's nothing to eat. And my kids are always going, oh, there's nothing there, there's nothing to eat, there's nothing for tea, there's no snacks, there's no this. I'm going, listen, your mother's been out slaving and in the queues with her mask on and all that, like getting the provisions during COVID crisis. Just show some appreciation. Eat whatever crumbs you can find. Keep your mouth shut. And I come down this morning, starving. And I got sent a picture from a guy in Australia, in Melbourne, showing his big breakfast. And I thought, bloody hell, I could do with that. So I come down, stomach going, feed me now. And the cupboards were bare, the fridge was bare. So I'm like, shit. All of a sudden, I'm like the kids, where's that damn mouse? I'll forget the humane trap for the mouse running rampant in our house. I'll eat the fucker. Anyway, I didn't bring you here to discuss the depletion of, household provisions. Oh, no. You thought I was done with Sleepy Hollow. I almost was. In my previous video, I did a big mad review of Tim Burton's awesome 1999 movie, Sleepy Hollow. And of course, in so doing, I had found all my little bits of knick-knack and merchandise and posters, the soundtrack playing there again, as you can hear. Figures, the art of book, yes. And this figure here, from Mcfarlane Toys, circa 1999-2000, and they brought out a couple of figures. They brought out the Headless Horseman in two versions, this one right here, and a deluxe one where he's actually riding Daredevil, his nightmarish big black steed of a horse, and there's a bit of a, not the proper big tree, although it's kind of clearly trying to evoke that. It's on a diorama base, and this sort of creeping weird shrubbery, and the horse is rearing up, and it's not bad. But I remember at the time that was, well, I wasn't as devout as collecting everything under the sun as I am maybe these days, and I didn't get that. I think it was just a bit too pricey at the time, and I also think it didn't look that good either, whereas I loved that figure, which is what we're going to talk about today a little bit. And they also brought out the crone. Of course, you've got the two witches, the two sisters. Whoa, he almost fell into my cup of tea then. But then again, he can't see where he's going, can he? But the two little sisters who become witches as they grow older, and one lives in a cave, and one inveigles her way into the matrimonial bed and becomes Lady Van Tassel and tries to take over the entire town, and she's the real reason why the horseman has been summoned forth on a heather-lopping spree of vengeance. And but they brought out the crone from the hovel cave in the woods, whose eyes come out like snakes and her tongue comes out like a snake as well, like in a great sequence, great shock moment. And I haven't got that one either. In fact, the only figure I have got is this one. Now this came absolutely fantastic. The detail on this, Coleen Atwood designed the look of the Hessian mercenary, which Christopher Walken plays in the movie, and of course it's then played with minus a head via Ray Park. But if you look at this, look at the detail on his costume, on his outfit, leather, his emblems on his greaves, the belt buckle is engraved as well. All the armour, the stitching and the plating, it's all brilliantly done. The heads are glorious too, of course. Stephen Waddington, and once again, that girl's name I can't remember, from TV sitcom Outnumbered. Damn. Armed with an axe. He has a sword a lot in the movie, and on this figure he didn't come with a sword, but the deluxe figure came with a sword, and hang on, no, it didn't get the axe with that one, you just got the sword. So if you wanted the full thing, you'd have to get the whole bloody lot. look at the spurs on his boots, and look at them boots as well. Look at them. Snake Plissken eat your heart out. Their boots. This is sort of thing, this costume, I would wear. If I could get hold of this, I would wear that. Obviously, I wouldn't go as far as lopping my own head off. But, you know, I'd march into the bar, you know, spares, jingle jangling, clang, clang, clang. And people are going like, oh, so you're not wearing a kilt today? Shut up, you know. But look at that. And look at the cape as well. That cape is, I hope you're picking this up. It's ripped up. There's like, it's almost like it's flesh, it's decayed flesh. Well, leather is, isn't it? And there's actually weeping wounds inside all this. I don't know if you can see that, but the detail on that, the sculpting, the carving is absolutely immaculate. It's an incredible design. I love the way, you probably can't see it, but where it's ripped up, it's a paler, it's kind of like a sickly pink and red underneath, like it is a weeping wound. And on the inside, it is like a kind of dirty, dishevelled burgundy. It is tremendous, isn't it? I've never seen a figure that came out at that time as detailed as this. Detailed, you say, Kilt-Man? He's got no head. Well, he's got two there, two spares. And actually, he did come with two spare heads for himself. One of which, are you going to stand there this time, or are you going to mess me around again? He won't stay. He's standing on two barrels, by the way. But Christopher Walken, there he is. Look at that. The blue eyes, the piercing blue eyes, the pallid skin, the fright wig of hair, and those teeth filed down to fangs. It's coming out a bit blurred, I do apologise. And my own addition, a bit of blue tack, because if you take that blue tack off there, there's kind of like a bit of blood underneath the stump of the neck. But it's to keep the head on, because it doesn't sit on that. Well, it does sit on well, but it won't stay. If you move the figure around, it has a habit of whoop, off it goes. So, and there is the bloodied stump on that side of it. And there's a little sort of spinal column, you know, with a little nodule of that on both the severed neck and well, the severed neck on the head and on the shoulders. There he is. But you didn't just get that head, and this is what's annoying me, because since reviewing this and finding all these bits and bobs, well, if you've seen my other videos on showing you the attic and the kind of all the merchandise that's lurking about, he's not going to stand up, is he? Oh, you just stand up. Look, see, look. Even blue tack doesn't do the job. I try to find the other head, which is the skull, because what controls him, if you've got the skull from where he was buried and the American revolutionaries he was fighting against hacked his head off and deposited it on his body and then buried him. But the witch, played by Miranda Richardson, you know, Lady Van Tassel, uncovers the skull, and if you've got the skull and a bit of black magic prowess, you can summon forth him from the tree of the dead, and you'll go and do your bidding. And that skull was fantastic. And in the film, when he finally gets it back, he puts it on his stump of the neck, and it grows all the ligaments and sinews back, and he becomes Christopher Walken again. But in the toy package, you got that little skull as well. Now that is here, but I can't find it, and it looks really good as well. You know, it's to scale. It's not like, sometimes when you get these things, like the skull, which should be smaller than the head, because obviously it's inside all this gubbins here, so it will be slightly smaller. But they've done them wrong. The scale is kind of off. It's either too small or it's too big. But this was spot on, and again, there was a bit of blood around the spinal column, but it had this dirty, dishevelled look to it, and it looked menacing. You know, it looked great, and that's here, and it's just a shame I can't show you that as well. But I also wanted to go into a little bit about the origins of the Hessian mercenary, because Washington Irving, who wrote The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman, had based it on the American War Revolution independence. And the Headless Horseman was meant to be a Hessian mercenary whose head had been taken off by an American cannonball. And then he spent the rest of he'd come back every Halloween, because the battle took place around about Halloween, and he'd come back and haunt Sleepy Hollow and its environs trying to find his head. But the Hessian mercenaries, did they exist? Yes, they did. During the American War of Independence, obviously Britain was fighting the Americans, the colonials, and the French got involved. The Germans got involved too, but the Germans didn't get involved for any kind of gain for themselves. What Germany was doing during this time, they would often hire out units of their own armies to foreign governments, foreign empires, yeah. But they weren't strictly speaking mercenaries, because they would go as their actual fighting units with their own uniforms, their own commanding officers, their own chain of command, their own weaponry, but they would fight alongside, and in this particular case they fought alongside the British against the Americans. But they were called Hessians because they were from two regions in Germany, Hesse-Hanau and Hesse-Kassel. But you Yanks just went, you're all Hessians and you're mercenaries, although strictly speaking they weren't. They were auxiliaries, they were brought in to these armies. And here's one for you. Christopher Walken had already played a Hessian before, way back in 1975 in the film Valley Forge, with Richard Basehart from Voice of the Bottom of the Sea, and Anthony Andrews, about the pivotal crisis for George Washington at Valley Forge. And Christopher Walken plays a Hessian major who's been brought over, and he's a bit on the pretty side in those days, and he freely admits that he doesn't like his earlier roles and doesn't even look at them because he thinks he has too much of a pretty boy look. He has a bit of an odd look, I'll say, but it's those baby blues and that little smile, that beatific smile works as magic. Of course, as he got older and we started to play like Bondian supervillains and gangsters and Headless Horseman, then he would take on a bit more of a nasty sort of aspect, a meaner look. Obviously epitomised as well in Batman Returns for Tim Burton, where he's Max Schreck. Max Schreck named after the guy that played Graf Orlok, Nosferatu the Vampire. By the way, cheers. But I really wish I could find that skull. And you have little fractured memories of because in this house there's my wife, Mrs. Kilt-Man, she went, there's a box of heads somewhere. How many other wives would just go, there's a box of heads somewhere, I'll go and get it for you. And in that box, she found those two, because I was searching for them as well. I found him okay, and I found that head okay, and the axe, no worries. I didn't find them, and I couldn't find the skull. Mrs. Kilt-Man found those heads, but the skull is still missing. Which means that someone out there has the skull, and maybe if they know some black magic spells, they can control him. It might take him a while to hack my head off with that axe, but there are other axes here which you'd have to recruit some other figures to try and lift. My God, I'm gonna have nightmares about this now, about this thing coming to life, stalking me. You are mine, we are brothers. Brothers in blue tack. Anyway, a little tour of the Hessian, but I'm sure you'll agree that is a wonderful figure. I would say it's quite rare to get hold of now, but there are some floating about. I've seen them on Amazon, I've certainly seen them on eBay, but I've seen them commanding quite large prices. Although I just looked before, and if you want one, there's some much cheaper ones there, depending on your shipping, obviously. And you've got to put bids in. But if you're after one of these, and the one on eBay that I saw did not have, well, I think it had that, but didn't have the skull either. So the skull's are a habit of scuttling off and going AWOL. But that is tremendous. And another weird thing about the character is that I don't see him as a bad guy. He's in shock and fell over. I don't see him as a bad guy at all. He was a soldier. He came for love of carnage. Okay, yeah, but a lot of soldiers, mercenaries as he's depicted in this, were like that. They've gone for the adrenaline rush, the buzz of the kill, and rampage. But when he encounters the two little girls in the woods who become the two witches, the two witch sisters, he just goes, shh. Like, he's not going to hurt them. I don't ever get the impression he's going to hurt them. But the Miranda Richardson one goes, shh, and breaks the firewood, alerting the colonial troopers to his location. So, he did nothing wrong there. He clearly has a great affection for his horse as well, and the horse has a great bond with him, and I like that kind of thing. But so he's a soldier, and then he's summoned to do killings. What? It's not his fault, and he gets revenge on the bitch that summoned him to do these killings against his will. So he takes her back to hell. So I don't really see him as a bad guy. He's a great nightmarish figure, and in folklore, that's certainly what he's depicted as. But I'm struggling now to remember, does he actually kill anybody in the original story? Or just frighten them? He's just like a phantom, isn't he? I have read it, but I can't remember. I don't think he kills anyone, does he? Or does someone die of fright? Making up my own version. But I think he's a great character. I'd love, isn't it weird? You don't want sequels. And I know that Sleepy Hollow became this great big 4-season TV show spanning centuries. And I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, but I haven't seen any of it at all. I know nothing about it other than, what I've read on IMDb, which wasn't much. And I don't like remakes, I don't like sequels as such. But he's a fascinating character, and I'd love to see more. It's great that they put the flashbacks in there of him in action, because it really shows that he is an incredible, warrior. Absolutely no fear, completely, brave, courageous, and almost foolhardy. But he's terrifying the teeth out of fangs, which would kind of limit after his fighting days are over and there's no more wars to go to, and he wants to settle down with a nice woman. Well, really, with them teeth, we see him. He puts the lips on Miranda Richardson, Lady Van Tassel, at the end. He pulls her semi-conscious body onto Daredevil, and as she wakes up and sees him with lightning striking behind him, and then fangs, and then blue eyes, she's like, shit. You got your skull back at least. Hey, you're looking good. He just puts the lips on her, a big sort of Frenchy snog, or Hessian snog, but clearly them fangs are doing their magic, and all blood starts oozing everywhere. So, a love life might be quite difficult for the guy. So, a life of war. Just stick to that. Anyway, folks, I just wanted to... just remembered something else. In my rootings about, I found this little bag. And inside this little bag are absolutely hundreds of trading cards. Remember these? Remember these things? And there is a full set of, I think, 92 Sleepy Hollow trading cards, which are wonderful to behold. And, they, in fact, look at that. And there's, 92 of them, and the full collector. They're all itemised. And they detail the story on the back, and I think there's also a bit of trivia from the movie. Jonathan Masbeth's decapitated body. Johnny Depp with some of his steampunk scientific paraphernalia. And so I found all them, so I was made up with that. More Sleepy Hollow stuff, great, and they are brilliant, brilliant pictures. But alongside them, and this is the weird thing, there was another full set of trading cards for Starship Troopers. Yeah, Starship Troopers. There's all of these cards too, same sort of thing, great pictures, and a bit of, trivia and stuff on the back, narrative of what that bit in the movie is. But what's the connection? Casper Van Dien played Rico's Rednecks in Starship Troopers, and he's also Bron in Sleepy Hollow. How the fuck did I get them to get? Look, there he is as Rico. I love shit like that. I love the weird symmetry of things. It would be even better if I found that frigging skull in a little bag as well. Wait a minute. No. But isn't that weird? That I've got the 2 sets of cards and they were both in the same bag. What? And I completely forgot I even had any of that shit. And of course, in the search for him, I uncovered that. I just love the weird symmetry of things like that, how it seems to come together. But folks, anyway, indulge me. It's okay. It's out of my system now, Sleepy Hollow. But I watched something else last night, which I will possibly be reviewing later. Possibly. We'll see. The sun is shining. And I know Mrs. Kilt-Man fancies a little trip to a local tavern. Not a tavern as local as my tavern in the other room. A more public affair. We'll see. So, in the meantime, and indeed the in-between time, please, whatever you're doing, do it well. And I'm going to see you all. You didn't come for money. You came for love of carnage.